seems to raise the biggest question, and that seems to have the emotional response from the community is, in fact, did the Urban Renewal Board assess or allocate $1.25 million to this project and intended to make that allocation but for the intervention of the mayor's office? And so Mike Collins and I, Judy had been involved in dealing with the developers a little bit just to make sure that we understood their concerns. From that, we then said, gee, this is a matter that needs to be addressed by the board. So we had a special meeting, if you remember that, a week or two ago. And at a regular meeting, we worked out the arrangement for that fee. I told council that I had never heard of a fee allocation of $1.25 million. So obviously we had to go talk to staff. The mayor had identified, he said there were 3 documents. There is one document that has that number in it, and it's part of a spreadsheet that was fairly early in the process. But I'd like to ask Chuck to simply walk the board through the process that you had gone through and how the fee was discussed. I really want to focus on 2 things. One, was $1.25 million ever identified as an allocation of fees, discussed with anybody as the allocation of the fees? And thirdly, was that something that you intended to bring to the board? And was there any action by the mayor's office that changed what you were going to do?
Well, first of all, there was a spreadsheet that showed $1.25 million, which was the sum of $50,000 a year fee for the 25 years or 23 or whatever is remaining once the revenues start coming in. And I think to answer the immediate question, we never represented to the developers that was going to be our fee schedule. We didn't represent that to the city administration, right, Jim? We never did that. So then the question, and we never intended to bring to the board development contract said that we were going to take $1 million in fees out of the project. So then the question comes, well, then why was there a spreadsheet that showed 1.15 or 25 million or whatever?
What was the date that the spreadsheet was prepared?
I don't know. Jim knows that.
I believe it was done in like June or July, Jim, and then.
2011.
Oh yeah. Not that long after Ivywild was approved.
Okay. All right.
And so I want to try and explain the context of that spreadsheet that shows $50,000 a year. And I'm not sure this is something that could ever be adequately explained to the public, but I will explain it to you. In the development negotiation process that we always go through with developers, once we get through the first phase is, well, you got a project, I see it, it's a cool project, we think it's something that we'd be interested in, how much does it cost and how much money do you need? Well, we need X amount of money, and then we check to make sure the return on investment isn't too great and that they really need it and so forth. The next step after that is to determine, I'm sorry, did you raise your hand?
No, I'm scratching my nose.
Well, I'm desperate for somebody to talk. Anyway, the first step in the process for us after that is to see whether or not the project will generate enough TIF to provide them with the money that they've requested and that we've confirmed that we believe that they need. So we prepared a spreadsheet that was conservative on the revenue side and really cranked up the fees, creating a net cash flow that we could apply towards the loan to simply see whether or not there was plenty of money there to amortize that loan and give them the money they need. And
so
that,
if I could ask you to clarify that.
Yes.
At that time, did we know what the developer's estimated expenses for
Yes.
financing were gonna be?
Yeah, we knew that they needed $670,000, and we had confirmed that, yeah, that all makes sense to us, the need that. So we wanted, and at that time, we were also preliminarily discussing the need for urban renewal to get a loan in order to provide them with that money sooner rather than later, right? And so we prepared this spreadsheet to see if, under the most conservative of circumstances, it would amortize a loan, which it will do. Okay, so that's where that spreadsheet came. And in retrospect, of course, the staff made a big mistake. And that big mistake, in my mind, was assuming that we were working with developers that develop for a living. Right? We weren't. We're working with two very successful businessmen, sharp guys, right, that are developers. And so that spreadsheet became a matter of public interest to the mayor's office and all that kind of stuff, because I guess they showed it to him, right? And then, of course, things have, we know where things have
We
gone.
actually gave the mayor, we actually gave Bob
Yeah.
Cope, that's, yeah.
Yeah, when we gave
That's part
Bob
of our
Cope that same
analysis.
spreadsheet.
And that was in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, September.
Yeah, yeah. So, so that's kind of the basis for a large part of this whole controversy.